He missed his daughter's wedding for duty. Then the chapel doors opened with his unit inside. He was caring, patient, and kind-hearted, but he also had a side of him that was disciplined, responsible, and fiercely loyal to his work. For John, life was a delicate balance between two worlds, his family and his career in the army. He loved his family more than anything in the world, but his duty as a soldier often demanded sacrifices that tugged painfully at his heart. Emily, John's only daughter, had always been his pride and joy. From the moment she was born, he had devoted himself to her happiness and safety. He remembered the first time he held her in his arms, the tiny, fragile bundle that seemed too perfect for the world. That moment had changed him forever. He had promised himself that he would always be there for her, no matter what. He attended every recital, cheered the loudest at her school events, and spent countless nights helping her with homework, even after long days of training and duty. John's presence in her life was constant, unwavering, and filled with love. As Emily grew older, their bond became even stronger. She would confide in him about her dreams, her fears, and her plans for the future. They shared countless memories, bike rides in the park, late-night conversations, and weekend trips that became the highlights of both their lives. John took immense pride in the young woman she was becoming, smart, compassionate, and full of life. Every decision she made, every milestone she reached, felt like a victory in his heart. So when Emily announced that she was getting married, John's heart swelled with joy. He immediately threw himself into helping with the wedding preparations. He met with caterers, discussed floral arrangements, and even helped Emily choose the perfect dress. Every detail mattered to him because he wanted everything to be perfect for her. He imagined walking her down the aisle, seeing her radiant smile, and feeling the overwhelming pride and love that every father felt on such a day. It was supposed to be a moment of pure joy, a day where nothing could go wrong, a day dedicated entirely to family. But life, as John had learned, was rarely that simple. Just days before the wedding, John received an urgent call from his commanding officer. There was an unexpected military operation that required his presence immediately. The timing was cruel. The operation could not be delayed, and John's role was critical. His unit relied on his leadership, his experience, and his judgment. Every second counted, and if he did not go, lives could be at risk. John's heart sank. He sat alone in his study, staring at the wedding invitations spread across the table. Each invitation seemed to mock him, reminding him of the choice he now had to make. He could either fulfill his duty, risking the chance to miss the most important day of his daughter's life, or stay and disappoint his unit, potentially endangering others. The decision weighed heavily on him, and sleep became impossible. Every possible scenario ran through his mind. Emily's disappointed face, the sound of the wedding bells he might never hear, the aching void in his heart. Emily sensed something was wrong. When John told her about the deployment, her initial reaction was shock and hurt. Tears welled in her eyes as she struggled to understand how her father could be forced to choose duty over family. She had always known he was dedicated to his work, but she had never imagined a day when he could not be there for her. Emily tried to mask her disappointment with a brave smile, but deep down, she felt an emptiness that no words could fill. John, too, was torn apart. He had never missed an important event in Emily's life. Her first day of school, her graduation, every birthday, he had been there for all of them. And now, for her wedding, the most significant milestone of all, he might not be able to walk her down the aisle. The thought was unbearable. He spent long nights sitting in his office, staring at the uniform hanging neatly on the rack, knowing that duty called him away from the family he loved more than life itself. Despite the pain, John made the only choice he could. He contacted his unit, arranged all preparations, and packed his gear. The morning of the wedding arrived, and while the world outside celebrated, John stood at attention in his uniform, ready to leave. The ceremony he had dreamed of attending was happening without him, and he felt the sharp sting of absence like a physical ache. He could imagine the chapel filled with friends and family, Emily standing at the altar, her eyes searching for him, and he longed to be there with every fiber of his being. As he boarded the transport, he thought about the life lessons he wanted to impart to Emily. Duty, honor, and sacrifice were values he had always hoped to teach her, not by words, but by example. He realized that this moment, painful as it was, would become a story of resilience and love. He whispered a silent apology to his daughter and promised himself that he would find a way to make it right, somehow. Even as the vehicle rumbled away from the chapel, John's thoughts never left Emily. He imagined her laughter, the elegant dress flowing as she walked down the aisle, the proud smile of her mother, and the quiet joy that would fill the room when she exchanged vows with her soon-to-be husband. Each thought was both comforting and agonizing. He reminded himself that love sometimes meant sacrifice, and that his presence in spirit could still offer support and strength, even if he could not be there physically. Meanwhile, Emily tried to focus on the joy of the day. Family and friends surrounded her, helping her feel cherished and loved, but there was an undeniable gap in the room. Every time she turned toward the entrance, she instinctively hoped to see her father walking through the doors. The realization that he might not come was painful, but Emily was determined to carry on, knowing her father's absence was not from lack of love but from unavoidable duty. John's journey with his unit was filled with tension and focus. He threw himself into his responsibilities, leading his team with precision and care. Yet, even in the midst of operations and strategic planning, his mind often drifted to Emily. He thought about the vows she would take, the flowers she would hold, the smiles and tears that would fill the chapel. Each memory kept him connected to the moment he longed to witness, sustaining him through the long hours and fatigue. By the end of the day, John had already faced one of the hardest experiences of his life, accepting that sometimes love demands a difficult choice. The weight of absence was heavy, but he knew in his heart that his commitment to duty did not diminish his love for Emily. In fact, it strengthened the values he hoped to pass on to her: resilience, courage, and integrity. Even from a distance, John remained a presence in Emily's life that day. Through phone calls, quick messages, and silent thoughts, he supported her as best as he could. The story of his sacrifice would later become a lesson not only for Emily, but for everyone who knew him. That true love is often intertwined with sacrifice, and that dedication to both family and duty, though challenging, can coexist in the most remarkable ways. And though the day began with a heart-wrenching absence, John held onto a quiet hope, a hope that somehow the gap between duty and family could be bridged, and that a moment of reunion might yet transform this painful day into one filled with joy, pride, and unforgettable. Memories, the morning of Emily's wedding dawned bright and clear. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows of the chapel, catching the glittering decorations and casting a warm glow over the rows of chairs. The air was filled with excitement, laughter, and the subtle hum of anticipation. Every detail had been planned meticulously. Flowers adorned the aisles, the music was perfectly arranged, and the aroma of fresh bouquets mingled with the faint scent of polished wood. Friends and family were gathering, chatting in low tones, their smiles reflecting the joy of the day. But there was one noticeable absence that cast a shadow over the celebration. Emily's father, John, was not there. Even though everyone tried to keep the mood light and festive, Emily could not shake the feeling of emptiness. Her heart ached every time she looked toward the entrance of the chapel, imagining her father walking through those doors. She had always dreamed of this moment, of seeing her father waiting for her, proud and smiling, ready to give her away. Now that dream seemed just out of reach, replaced by a pang of disappointment and longing. Emily's mother, Susan, noticed her daughter's quiet struggle. She reached over, holding Emily's hand, offering a comforting squeeze. "He's with you in spirit," she said softly, trying to reassure her daughter. "He's doing this for his duty, but he loves you more than anything." Emily nodded, but the words did little to ease the heavy ache in her chest. She knew her father's love was unwavering, but the thought of walking down the aisle without him by her side was almost unbearable. As the guests took their seats, the organist began to play the first notes of the wedding march. The music was beautiful, stirring emotions in everyone present. Emily took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She looked at her groom, who gave her a gentle, reassuring smile. He squeezed her hand, whispering, "It will be perfect. We'll make it perfect together." Emily smiled back, grateful for his support, but her mind wandered to her father, hoping that somehow he might find a way to be there. Meanwhile, John and his unit were navigating the complexities of military duty. Every step of their operation required focus, strategy, and coordination. John led with precision, guiding his team through tasks that demanded attention and careful judgment. Despite the seriousness of his work, John's thoughts kept drifting back to the chapel, to Emily, and to the day she had been dreaming about for so long. The image of her standing at the altar, her dress flowing elegantly, her eyes searching for him. It haunted him and fueled a quiet determination inside him. John could not shake the feeling that he had to find a way to bridge the gap between duty and family. Even in the midst of strict schedules and responsibilities, he began to consider options. Was there any way he could be present, even briefly? Could he coordinate with his commanding officer to adjust the timing, even by a small margin, to make the wedding? Every idea seemed improbable, but John's determination was unwavering. He was not willing to miss this day entirely, not for Emily, not for the love and trust they shared. Back at the chapel, Emily's anxiety grew as the moment of walking down the aisle approached. She adjusted her veil, smoothed her dress, and tried to focus on the joyous occasion, but the empty spot where her father should have been was impossible to ignore. Her mother whispered encouraging words, reminding her that love and family could be expressed in many ways, even when circumstances were challenging. Friends offered smiles, and relatives tried to lighten the mood with small jokes and gentle teasing, but Emily's thoughts remained fixed on John. The ceremony began with the officiant welcoming everyone and speaking words of love and commitment. Emily's heart raced, her excitement mingled with a bittersweet longing. She walked slowly down the aisle, her eyes searching for her father, her steps hesitant but graceful. Each step felt heavy without his guiding hand, and she felt a tear slip down her cheek. Guests noticed her emotions and shared sympathetic glances, feeling the depth of her love and the sadness of her father's absence. Just as Emily reached the middle of the aisle, a sudden stir at the back of the chapel caught everyone's attention. The doors, which had remained closed until that moment, slowly began to open. A hush fell over the crowd as heads turned in surprise. There, standing in formation, was John's military unit, dressed in crisp uniforms, their expressions serious but filled with purpose. And at the center of them all, walking with quiet authority and determination, was John himself. Emily's eyes widened in disbelief. She could hardly believe what she was seeing. Her father, the man she thought she would miss for the most important moment of her life, was there. Leading his unit with the same discipline and precision he displayed in every aspect of his work, John began walking down the aisle toward her. The chapel was silent except for the soft sound of their footsteps and the gasps of astonishment from the guests. Emily's heart leaped with joy, her eyes welling with tears of relief and happiness. John's unit had coordinated with him to make this moment possible. They had rearranged their schedules, made sacrifices, and supported their leader in a gesture of loyalty and camaraderie that went beyond duty. It was not just a reunion between father and daughter. It was a testament to teamwork, friendship, and respect. The sight of them standing together, perfectly aligned behind John, created a sense of awe in everyone present. Guests whispered among themselves, marveling at the extraordinary effort it had taken to make this happen. As John approached Emily, she ran to him, and they embraced tightly. The weight of the day's uncertainty melted away in that single, powerful hug. John whispered words of love and apology, promising that he would always be there for her, no matter the obstacles. Emily held on to him, tears streaming freely, feeling the warmth, safety, and unwavering love that only a father could provide. The guests watched silently, many wiping away their own tears, touched by the raw emotion and the remarkable reunion unfolding before them. The ceremony continued, but the atmosphere had shifted completely. Where there had once been a shadow of absence and longing, there was now light, joy, and a renewed sense of love. John stood beside Emily, proud and attentive, ready to give her away to the man she loved. His unit remained respectfully behind him, a reminder of the extraordinary effort that had made this day unforgettable. Every step Emily took down the aisle, guided by her father's hand, was filled with meaning. The journey that had once seemed impossible had been overcome through determination, love, and support from those around them. Guests whispered quietly about the lesson they were witnessing. That love often required patience and sacrifice, but it could also inspire extraordinary acts of devotion. For John, the moment was not just about being present at his daughter's wedding. It was about showing Emily, in the most tangible way possible, that he would never abandon her, even when duty demanded everything from him. His presence, combined with the support of his unit, symbolized the delicate balance between responsibility and love, a balance that he had struggled with but had ultimately managed to honor. Emily felt a surge of gratitude, not only toward her father but also toward the men who had made this reunion possible. She recognized the effort, the planning, and the sacrifices that had gone into ensuring her father could walk her down the aisle. It was a powerful reminder that love, respect, and dedication could create miracles, even in the most challenging circumstances. The rest of the ceremony unfolded beautifully. Vows were exchanged, promises of love were made, and smiles of joy filled the room. But for Emily, the most unforgettable moment remained the surprise reunion with her father. It was a moment that would live in her memory forever, a symbol of resilience, loyalty, and unwavering love. The guests left the ceremony inspired, carrying with them a story that they would recount for years. A story of a father who refused to miss his daughter's special day, and a unit that supported him in a remarkable act of devotion. By the end of the day, Emily and John shared quiet moments together, reflecting on the extraordinary series of events that had brought them back together. They laughed, cried, and marveled at the power of determination and love. The day, which had begun with uncertainty and sorrow, ended with joy, connection, and unforgettable memories. And as the sun set, casting a golden glow over the chapel and the happy couple, Emily knew one thing for certain: her father's love had no limits. It transcended distance, duty, and time. And that love, demonstrated through courage, planning, and the support of those around him, had made her wedding day truly perfect. The wedding continued, but the energy in the chapel had shifted completely. What began as a day shadowed by uncertainty had transformed into a moment filled with awe and inspiration. John Thompson stood beside his daughter Emily, his uniform crisp, his medals shining under the chapel lights, his heart swelling with pride and love. The presence of his unit behind him added a weight of support and solidarity, and the room seemed almost alive with the story of dedication, courage, and family that had brought them all together. Emily looked up at her father as she prepared to exchange her vows. Her eyes were glistening with tears, a mixture of joy, relief, and deep gratitude. She could feel the love radiating from him, a warmth that had been missing for a part of the day, but now filled every corner of her heart. Walking down the aisle without him had seemed impossible, but seeing him there had erased all fears, replaced them with an overwhelming sense of connection and reassurance. She realized that despite the challenges, her father had found a way to be present when it mattered most. As the officiant spoke, Emily and her groom clasped hands, their fingers intertwining, a physical symbol of the bond they were about to cement. The officiant's words about love, trust, and commitment echoed in the chapel, but for Emily, the most meaningful part was the quiet glance she shared with her father. That glance spoke volumes, a lifetime of love, sacrifice, and understanding captured in a single moment. She felt the steadying strength of his presence and knew that no matter where life took her, her father's guidance and love would always be with her. The unit behind John stood quietly, their eyes forward, yet they seemed to radiate a silent pride. They had played a role in creating this unforgettable moment, rearranging schedules and making personal sacrifices to ensure that John could honor both his duty and his family. Their loyalty and support were not lost on anyone present. Friends, relatives, and other guests began to whisper among themselves, recognizing the extraordinary effort behind what might have seemed, at first glance, a simple wedding ceremony. The story of commitment, camaraderie, and love was unfolding in real time, touching the hearts of everyone in the room. Emily's mind drifted to the moments leading up to the ceremony, the anxious wait, the uncertainty, and the longing to see her father. Each memory now seemed more poignant, more significant, as she realized the depth of the sacrifice and effort that had been required. She thought about how she had tried to focus on the joy of the day despite the absence she feared, and she felt a deep sense of gratitude that it had all come together in this miraculous way. John could feel the weight of the day pressing on him even as he smiled. Every step he had taken to arrive at the chapel had been filled with tension, planning, and hope. He had led his unit through demanding duties, navigating challenges that required focus and precision, all while holding on to the image of his daughter's wedding. The thought that he might not make it had been a constant ache in his chest. But now, standing in the chapel with Emily, he felt an overwhelming sense of relief and fulfillment. The reunion was more than a simple attendance. It was a testament to the power of love and determination. As the ceremony progressed, Emily's emotions surged. When it came time to exchange vows, she spoke from the heart, her voice trembling with sincerity. Every word reflected her love for her partner, but also the profound gratitude she felt for her father. She acknowledged the challenges and sacrifices that had allowed him to be there, expressing feelings that words alone could not fully capture. Guests were visibly moved, some wiping tears from their eyes, understanding that this was more than a wedding. It was a story of perseverance, devotion, and family bonds that transcended obstacles. John listened intently, his own emotions swelling. He had spent years guiding Emily, teaching her about life through both words and actions. Today, her words reminded him of every sacrifice, every lesson, and every shared moment that had defined their relationship. As she finished, he felt a surge of pride that was almost overwhelming. The challenges of the day had been worth it. Witnessing this moment, sharing it with Emily, was more than he could have hoped for. The officiant then turned to the groom, who repeated his vows with equal sincerity. There was a quiet intensity in his voice, a clear understanding of the magnitude of the day and the extraordinary circumstances surrounding it. The groom spoke not only to Emily, but to the family, acknowledging the role John had played in shaping the day. The words reflected respect, admiration, and appreciation, further deepening the emotional impact of the ceremony. After the vows, the moment came for the exchanging of rings. As Emily slid the delicate ring onto her partner's finger, she glanced at her father once more. John's eyes met hers, filled with pride and love. There was a quiet reassurance in his gaze, a promise that he would always be there, supporting her, guiding her, and loving her unconditionally. The simple gesture of the ring exchange became a symbolic bridge between past sacrifices and future happiness. As the ceremony approached its conclusion, the chapel seemed to hold its breath. The officiant pronounced them married, and Emily and her partner shared a gentle, heartfelt kiss. The guests erupted in applause, and for a moment the room was filled with pure joy. But the focus remained on John and Emily, whose reunion had become the emotional heart of the day. Guests continued to whisper, capturing the extraordinary nature of the event. A father who had faced impossible circumstances, a daughter who had endured the anxiety of his absence, and a unit whose loyalty had made the miracle possible. The reception that followed was filled with laughter, dancing, and celebration, but the story of John's dedication continued to resonate. Friends and family recounted the astonishing moment when the chapel doors had opened, marveling at the unity and love that had created it. Emily felt a deep sense of connection with everyone present, recognizing that the extraordinary effort to bring her father to the wedding was a reflection of the profound bonds that tied people together. Not only family bonds, but bonds of trust, loyalty, and shared purpose. John, too, reflected on the journey that had led him to this moment. Every decision, every sacrifice, and every challenge now seemed part of a larger story. A story of love, resilience, and the extraordinary lengths one could go to for family. He knew that life would continue to present challenges, but this experience had reinforced the idea that determination, faith, and support from those around him could overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Emily spent quiet moments with her father during the reception, sharing laughter, stories, and heartfelt gratitude. She thanked him for his presence, for his unwavering love, and for the extraordinary effort that had made the day unforgettable. John reminded her that love often required sacrifice, but that true devotion always found a way to shine through, even in the most challenging circumstances. These conversations deepened their bond, creating memories that would last a lifetime. As the evening drew to a close, guests departed with a sense of wonder and inspiration. Many spoke of the remarkable example of love, loyalty, and dedication they had witnessed. John's actions had not only honored his daughter, but had also inspired everyone around him. It was a story that would be told and retold, a testament to the power of commitment, sacrifice, and the extraordinary lengths people could go to for the ones they loved. Even after the celebration ended, the emotional impact of the day lingered. Emily and John shared a quiet moment alone, reflecting on the incredible journey of emotions, challenges, and triumphs they had experienced. They knew that this day would remain etched in their hearts forever, a story of love that had overcome fear, distance, and obstacles, leaving behind a legacy of hope, inspiration, and unbreakable bonds. In the days that followed, the story of John Thompson and his daughter's wedding spread among friends, colleagues, and the local community. People marveled at the extraordinary act of love and dedication, recognizing the profound impact that a single, determined individual could have when guided by loyalty, courage, and care. John's unit was praised not only for their professionalism, but also for the compassion and support that had allowed this moment to happen. For Emily, the wedding became more than a celebration of love with her partner. It became a story of resilience, family, and the extraordinary power of dedication. She realized that the challenges, uncertainty, and fear she had faced earlier in the day were not obstacles, but stepping stones to a moment of profound connection and joy. The memory of her father walking her down the aisle, supported by his unit, became a symbol of hope, strength, and the extraordinary bonds that define family. John, reflecting on the day, felt a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. He had honored his duty, protected those who depended on him, and yet had found a way to honor his family in the most meaningful way possible. It was a powerful reminder that life's challenges could be met with determination, planning, and love. The story of the wedding, the reunion, and the extraordinary efforts behind it would remain a source of inspiration, not only for John and Emily, but for everyone who heard it. And as night fell, casting a calm, golden glow over the celebrations that had ended, both father and daughter knew that this day had created memories that would last a lifetime. A day that began with uncertainty had turned into a story of extraordinary courage, love, and loyalty, one that would be remembered and cherished forever. After the wedding ceremony, the celebration continued with laughter, music, and the joy of family and friends coming together. The atmosphere was alive with happiness, yet amidst the festivities, Emily and her father shared quiet, meaningful moments that would remain etched in their memories forever. The extraordinary journey of the day, from uncertainty and longing to a miraculous reunion, had left a lasting impression on everyone present. But for John and Emily, the day was far more than a celebration. It was a testament to love, dedication, and the power of sacrifice. Emily felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude as she reflected on how the day had unfolded. She had faced the fear of losing the presence of her father on one of the most important days of her life, yet somehow, against all odds, he had been there. The moment when the chapel doors opened and his unit appeared behind him was engraved in her heart forever. She knew it was not just a father-daughter reunion. It was a display of love, commitment, and teamwork that went far beyond her imagination. As the reception began, guests continued to share stories and laughter, but the story of John's effort to be there became the highlight of the evening. Friends, relatives, and even colleagues of the family could not stop talking about the incredible dedication it had taken for him to arrive on time. They marveled at the devotion of his unit, whose unwavering support had made this reunion possible. Everyone present understood that this was more than a wedding. It was a celebration of extraordinary human bonds, both familial and professional. John took a quiet moment to step aside and reflect on the journey that had brought him to this point. The day had been filled with emotions, anxieties, anticipation, relief, and overwhelming joy. Every step he had taken, every decision he had made, had been guided by love and a deep sense of responsibility. He knew that duty often demanded sacrifices, but he had also learned that, with determination and support, it was possible to honor both work and family. This realization filled him with a profound sense of fulfillment. Emily joined him, her hands gently clasped around his, seeking the warmth and comfort that only a father could provide. She looked up at him with a mixture of admiration and gratitude, realizing that the love she had always known had been proven in the most extraordinary way. "Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling, "thank you for never giving up, for finding a way to be here, for loving me so much." John smiled, tears glistening in his eyes, and held her close. "Emily, my love for you has no limits," he said softly. "Nothing could ever keep me from you, and I would move mountains to make sure you know that." The two spent a quiet moment together, surrounded by the hum of celebration, yet feeling as if the world had paused just for them. Guests nearby noticed the emotional scene, silently witnessing the depth of the bond between father and daughter. Many were moved to tears, understanding that what they were seeing was not just a family reunion, but a demonstration of love, commitment, and the extraordinary lengths people can go to for those they care about most. As the evening progressed, Emily took time to speak with members of her father's unit. She thanked them for their support and loyalty, recognizing that their presence had made the day truly unforgettable. The unit members, in turn, shared stories of their admiration for John, the respect they held for his dedication, and the pride they felt in being part of a team that could make a difference not only on the battlefield, but also in moments of personal significance. Their camaraderie and unity left a lasting impression on everyone present, reinforcing the idea that support, loyalty, and love could create miracles in even the most challenging circumstances. The reception continued with dancing, toasts, and heartfelt speeches. Friends and family shared stories of Emily's life, of John's dedication as a father, and of the extraordinary events that had brought the family together on this special day. Each story highlighted themes of resilience, courage, and love, reminding everyone present that life's greatest moments often come from perseverance and commitment. The atmosphere was alive with warmth and joy, yet beneath the laughter was a profound understanding of the meaning behind the day, a reminder that love, in its truest form, required both sacrifice and devotion. John and Emily found themselves reflecting on the lessons learned from the day. The anxiety of his absence, the anticipation of whether he could make it, and the overwhelming relief when he arrived, all of these experiences had reinforced the strength of their bond. Emily realized that love was not only about presence in moments of joy, but also about enduring challenges, overcoming obstacles, and making difficult choices that ultimately strengthened relationships. John understood that duty and family, though sometimes seemingly at odds, could coexist with careful planning, determination, and the support of those around him. As the evening wore on, John and Emily shared quiet conversations, reminiscing about past experiences and talking about future dreams. They laughed about childhood memories, celebrated the triumphs of the wedding day, and discussed hopes for the future. Each word, each gesture, reinforced the bond that had been tested and proven resilient. Emily felt a deep sense of security knowing that her father's love was unwavering, that no circumstance could ever diminish the connection they shared. The guests, too, carried the lessons of the day with them. Many remarked on the extraordinary nature of John's dedication, recognizing that love, loyalty, and teamwork could overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Stories of the day were shared, retold, and celebrated, inspiring everyone to consider the lengths they might go to for their loved ones. The wedding had become more than a personal celebration. It was a demonstration of universal values that resonated deeply with all who witnessed it. In the following days, Emily and John continued to reflect on the impact of the day. Photographs captured smiles, tears, and the incredible reunion, preserving memories that would last a lifetime. Letters of congratulations and admiration poured in from friends, family, and colleagues, many highlighting the inspiring story of John's dedication and the role of his unit in making the day possible. Emily cherished these reminders, understanding that her father's love had been proven not just in words, but in extraordinary action. For John, the experience reinforced a profound truth: that love, when combined with determination and support, could overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Duty and family, though demanding in different ways, could coexist when approached with courage, planning, and unwavering commitment. He realized that the moments of uncertainty and sacrifice had made the reunion even more meaningful, creating memories that would be cherished forever. Emily, too, found herself deeply moved by the lessons of the day. She understood that life would bring challenges, disappointments, and difficult choices, but she also knew that love and dedication could bridge any gap. Her father's actions had taught her resilience, the importance of loyalty, and the extraordinary impact of selfless effort. She felt inspired to carry these lessons forward into her own life, in her marriage, her relationships, and her personal endeavors. As the weeks and months passed, the story of the wedding and the reunion between John and Emily continued to inspire those around them. Friends and family shared the tale of the father who refused to miss his daughter's wedding, the unit that supported him, and the extraordinary moment when dedication and love converged. The story became a cherished memory in their community, serving as a reminder of the power of commitment, the value of support, and the enduring strength of family bonds. John and Emily continued to nurture their relationship, their bond strengthened by the experiences of that unforgettable day. They spoke often about the lessons learned, the emotions felt, and the extraordinary circumstances that had brought them closer together. Every conversation, every shared moment became a testament to resilience, love, and the unbreakable connection between a father and his daughter. Even years later, the memory of that day remained vivid. Emily would often recount the story to her children, emphasizing the love, dedication, and sacrifices that had made the wedding possible. John's commitment, combined with the loyalty of his unit, became a symbol of hope, courage, and the extraordinary lengths people would go to for those they love. It was a story that transcended time, inspiring generations and leaving a lasting impact on everyone who heard it. Through it all, John and Emily carried forward a deep understanding of what truly mattered in life: love, family, and the unwavering commitment to one another. The wedding, which had begun with uncertainty and longing, had transformed into a celebration of extraordinary human connection. It became a reminder that even in the face of challenges, with determination, planning, and support, love could triumph and create memories that would last a lifetime. As the years went by, John's story of sacrifice and reunion became a source of inspiration for others. People often spoke of the father who had refused to miss his daughter's wedding, the unit that had made the impossible possible, and the extraordinary display of love that had touched everyone present. Emily and her father knew that the lessons learned on that day would guide them throughout their lives, shaping their understanding of family, responsibility, and the power of unwavering devotion. And though time moved forward, the memory of that remarkable day, the chapel doors opening, the unit standing behind John, the emotional reunion with his daughter, remained vivid in their hearts. It was a day that proved that love and dedication, when combined with courage and support, could overcome any obstacle. A day that transformed uncertainty into joy, separation into connection, and ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. For John and Emily, the wedding had become more than a single event. It was a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of love, and a reminder that family bonds could withstand even the greatest challenges. It was a story that would live on forever, not just in photographs or memories, but in the hearts of all who witnessed it, a true celebration of love, loyalty, and the extraordinary strength of human connection.